Hey guys, I'm RNG Gamer. I play all my games randomly, and welcome to my game room tour. So, this is sort of my catch-all shelf where I put the big collector's boxes and big box PC games and things like that that won't really fit anywhere else. You know, Xbox 360 boxes, Wii boxes, we have a couple of PlayStation boxes. This is a Japanese PlayStation 2, so you can play import games, although I find now that you can just get like something off AliExpress that'll hack your system and let you play import games, but I didn't know that before I spent $150 on that. So here we are. The new game just came out, Alone in the Dark. This is Alone in the Dark 2 that came out, and this is sealed. It was on clearance, and it has the clue book on the back of it, which is kind of cool. This was already kind of expensive, but it's probably like crazy expensive right now. I'm considering parting with it.
So I have one sealed big box PC game. It's a bowling game made by Bethesda.
What?
One of their super early games. I found it for like 15 bucks at a pawn shop.
That's so cool.
I just saw literally the only thing that made me buy it was the Bethesda logo.
So over here, I'll always show this off. This is Death Smiles. This is one of those cave shooters that came out for the Xbox 360. This is my favorite horizontal shoot 'em up of all time. It's really cool. It's got like a claymation almost look. This is really interesting that this actually got a release in the United States. If you know what cave is, they're like the master shoot 'em up creators from Japan. They put out like 15 fantastic games over a 10-year period, and then like the Beatles, they just sort of faded into obscurity.
Yeah,
so here's a really interesting one. This is a Sony PSX. If you've never seen this before, this came out only in Japan, and it's a combination PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and DVR. And it was one of the first things that would ever record gameplay footage. Like everything in, everything out. It's insane. So here are some interesting ones. These are all big box PC games from a defunct company called IndieBox. This was a monthly subscription service you would get, and they would mail you a different big box PC game every month. It's a physical copy of the game on a custom USB with all like custom mouse pads and all kinds of interesting stuff built into it that came with it. But the problem was you had to sign up for like a year at a time, and it was like 40 bucks a month, so it was really expensive, and you never knew what you were gonna get. They wouldn't announce the games. So it was just random stuff, but it was the first physical releases of games like Freedom Planet, Guacamelee, Axiom Verge, and then the very first release that came out almost 5 or 6 years before any other one was the first physical release of Hollow Knight. So I have a complete Vectrex set. If you've never seen the Vectrex before, it's a really interesting vector-based system that came around I guess around the time of the ColecoVision and the Atari 2600. And these are all of the games for it here. There are a few really heavy hitters on it, including 3D Crazy Coaster and 3D Mindstorm. Pretty tricky to get, and the reason they're 3D is because of this. This is probably one of the rarest little oddities that I have in my entire collection, and it's buried under here, and it's the Vectrex 3D Imager. And if you've never seen this before, and this is 80s as can be, dude. It smells like Marlboro cigarettes and Tab in here.
Oh, dude, just like my dad.
But this is an imager you would put over your face like this.
To make the screen 3D?
Yes, hold on, wait. And in the front of this, loads, and these are the rarest things to have for the entire system probably, are these discs. And each one is coded to a specific game. And you would load this in the front of the unit, and it spins synchronized with the flashing of the monitor. And if you do like a magic eye thing, cross your eyes, it makes the games 3D. And it's really interesting and will induce the worst headache you've ever had in your entire life. Here's the Sega CD and the Sega Saturn. I had a Sega CD and a Sega Saturn growing up. My parents sold it, like everything else. So I'm rebuilding it up, but even when I got started collecting like almost 17 years ago, Saturn stuff was hard to find even then. Like it was super expensive. And the game I looked for the longest here was Dragon Force. This is like a strategy RPG. The manual has a little bit of love on it. It looks like it got burned or water damaged, but a really cool game done by Working Designs. Here are my Japanese Sega Saturn games. I went to Japan and they were selling these in goodie bags. $10 for 20 games. A lot of it is like these, like, Mahjong idle simulator games that I can't play.
Yeah.
But there were some really good games in there, including things like X-Men Children of the Atom, which is a super heavy hitter here. This is the exact same as the US version, even all the freaking graphics and all the text are in English. I love the 3DO and I love all the interesting games that they have for it, but it's hard to find these days. You can barely find 3DO stuff anywhere. But the game that I played so much when I was younger is this one. It's probably the most common game on the system, is Twisted. This is a game show kind of game, a party game back before party games were a real thing. It's hard to collect for the TurboGrafx 16 games. It's hard, it's always been hard to do it, but I'll show everybody's favorite game on the system. It's mine probably too. It's Devil's Crush. I still think this is the best flipping pinball game probably ever made. This is everybody's least favorite part of every game room tour, the Nintendo Switch collection. Guess what? It's red. You can't tell what anything is. You on the screen right now don't know what any of these games are. And even if we zoom in all the way, you'll never know. You'll probably fast forward past this part, but don't, because I'm gonna show you what I think is the rarest game on the Nintendo Switch.
Let's see it.
Bang! Ever seen that one before?
No.
This is Arcade Love plus Pango. This is 4 extremely rare arcade games that they put on a compilation. And these arcade games are all centered around teaching you to be better at arcade games. So there are training modes that teach you to press a button faster. There are training modes to teach you how to dodge better. There are training modes for all kinds of things, doing combos. How long can you survive in a shoot 'em up? How many times can this fake Power Ranger punch another Power Ranger in the face? And you do a bunch of these challenges, and then it ranks you with a gaming age. And it'll say, you're as good as a 17-year-old, you're as good as a 27-year-old, you're as good as a 37-year-old. And you're trying to get younger. The best you can be, I think, is a 15-year-old in this.
Yeah.
But this is unbelievably hard to find. It took me about a year to find a copy to even import it. My favorite Switch game of all, oh man, you're putting me on the spot, dude. You're putting me on the spot. Oh no, you didn't put me on the spot. It's freaking Super Mario Odyssey, man. Super Mario Odyssey. This is the bonus Walmart exclusive edition with the Traveler's Guide in it.
Yeah.
These are really fun shoot 'em ups. Even if they weren't hentai games, they're still worth playing. They would still be 8 out of 10 shoot 'em ups. I had a great time with them. Here, we have my more obscure boxes up here for consoles. We have my Inbox the Gold Star 3DO. We have the MSX computer, which is really cool. All of the early Konami stuff before it came out on the NES came out on this. So the original Castlevania came out on this. The original Metal Gear came out on this computer. And then we have my complete in-box Nintendo games. They look great on the shelf. They're easy to store, and I love the different colored spines on the games, unlike the stupid Switch where it's just red.
Unlike the Switch, they're
right.
Different colors, and they're the same size.
Different colors and the same size. They do weird crap like this, like Shatterhand is upside down. But this is one of the few games that's great made by Jalico. Of notorious crappy game development, they made a great game called Shatterhand.
Action 52.
Action 52 from Angry Video Game Nerd fame. The NES is really like the system that I grew up with when I was little. It was my first console. And everybody, when they start collecting, they do the same things, right? They want to buy all the games they had when they were a kid. And once they get those, they want to get the games they could never have when they were a kid. And then you start looking for the weird and obscure stuff. And the NES is like the never-ending rabbit hole for that. Even to this day, I see NES games. I was like, I didn't even know that existed. Bomberman 2 here. classic. Bucky O'Hare, Chubby Cherub, Kickmaster Swamp Thing, Final Fight. This I picked up on camera at Game Central Station. This is Gunnack. Paid $400 for it. Negotiated with the guy, he had it at $450. We spent about 30 minutes talking about it. He had to pay taxes, all this sort of stuff. And we got the deal done for $400. I was so happy, and I walked to the next booth and they had it for $350. Speaking of games, let's talk about my freaking PlayStation 2 collection. This is one of my favorite systems to collect for, by far, and it can get really expensive. I have a few of the heavy hitters just sitting facing out here. Haunting Ground, I picked that up at Siege a few years ago. I traded a Vectrex for Haunting Ground. At the time, Haunting Ground was $400. The Vectrex was $400. Now Haunting Ground is $350, and the Vectrex is like $700. Here's the Star Soldier PlayStation 2 release. This is like from Hudson Soft. The Star Soldier series was on the TurboGrafx 16. The final game in the series came out on the PlayStation 2. Here we have the heaviest hitter on the PlayStation 2. The Holy Grail PlayStation 2 game, Kuon.
Oh, I thought it was SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
I know, right? That's just the Holy Grail that you want to play. I still have the price tag on this one.
850 buckaroo.
$850.
What you paid?
I did not pay this for it. I paid $650 plus some random Snickle Fritz trade stuff that I had. And I got this at Game Jam South last year. I just played Halo 1 for the first time and streamed it. And everybody just dogged on me in the comments the whole time because I was so bad at it. But the driving the Warthog at the end on the last segment of that is like a comedy of errors. It is like one of the funniest things that's ever happened on my channel was trying to finish the end of Halo. It took me like 8 tries. And people were like, I'd been streaming for 3 hours and they're like, you're 20 minutes from the end of the game. And I ended up streaming 5.5 hours because that last segment took me like 2.5 hours to do. This is the worst ending I've ever seen to any game. I think this is the worst ending I've ever seen. Here's 2 interesting ones that have come out recently for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. Deadius, which is a survival horror game on the original Game Boy, which looks just incredible. And then Repugnant Bounty on the Game Boy Color. This is a flippin' Metroidvania, like an 8-bit Metroidvania. These just look unbelievably cool to me, and I'm so glad to see they're putting out stuff like this, even now. But the thing everybody wants to see right now is the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 was the first console I started collecting for back right after it came out. I just wanted to get like every game on it, and I've been really diligent about grabbing all the ones I thought were super cool, including ones that I have mentioned in many videos that I said, this game's gonna be expensive and rare one day, and everybody's like, it's not gonna be expensive or rare. And turns out I was right. Darkest of Days, I mentioned a million times when this was 12, 10, 15 bucks. Pick this up. Now it's like $100. What I consider to be the rarest game on the entire console. Hey, what do you know? This is the Shooting Love 10th anniversary Zyzeal and Delta Zeal. And of course mine is still sealed. They made a whole bunch of region-free Japanese shoot-em-ups on the Xbox 360. They'll play on any console. All these shoot-em-ups fans grabbed them all, and this is one of those. This is the last one to come out. When I went to Japan, I took a list of every single region-free Japanese game that I wanted to get, and I went to 3 different cities: Tokyo, Kanazawa, Kyoto. I went in tons of stores. I would hand them the list. I found every one of the games on that list except for this one. This game, not only could I never find it, they had never even heard of it.
Really?
They could not find it, and there are 2 versions of it. There's the special edition that has a gold cover, and then this normal edition. The gold edition is more common, and it open goes for about $200.
Woo.
And there's 2 copies of it on eBay. There are none on Amazon. There are no copies of the regular version on eBay for sale. There are none on Amazon. There are none online, and there are no records of any sold listings. I found it finally from a buddy who was in Japan, and he found a copy of it for me in a half-price books. People tell me all the time there are no games on the PS5. There's so many cool games on the flipping PS5. I don't know what they're like looking at, man. Eurokill? It's a visual novel mixed with a shoot 'em up. How does that even work? I don't even know. The greatest games of all time that you really can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Where else are you gonna get to power wash something? My PS4 collection is my biggest collection that I have. I'm like at 500 games or so. I got into the limited run games thing, all that sort of stuff, but there's still a lot of really interesting games that came out retail, not from limited run games. They're like limited releases. Here's one that no one ever mentions. This got a US release. This is 428 Shibuya Scramble.
What is that?
This is a murder mystery visual novel that came out on the Wii, only in Japan. And it's one of the only games on the Wii that was like full motion video. But they released this and remastered it on the PS4. But I think the PlayStation 4 is my favorite console of all time.
Really?
It just has so many unique games on it. Like, what other system do you play that has like 8-bit style games like freaking Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which is just like basically a remake of a Castlevania game, but you also have like for Control. We were just talking about Control on the PS5. It came out on the PS4 first.
Yeah.
Like third person AAA action games and then like 8-bit games that are both coming out on the same system. Remasters of Sega Game Gear games.
That's crazy.
And they made a sequel to them that's designed to run on a real Sega Game Gear. And it came out in what, 2022? And they put it on the PS4. And then the PS1, we didn't even talk about it at all. I have all the big heavy hitters on the PlayStation 1. Misadventures of Trombone,
I've actually never even heard of that.
Really?
I don't think
This is Mega Man Legends 3.
Oh, okay.
Basically, she's the villain from Mega Man Legends, and she spun out into her own game.
Okay.
Before there was Dark Souls, there were these games, Kingsfield 1 and 2. And Demon Souls was a spinoff of this. This is part of the Soul series, according to a lot of people. I mentioned earlier for the MSX computer that if you're a big Castlevania fan, you're trying to collect all the Castlevania games. It first came out on the MSX computer, and this is the first Castlevania game. It's called Vampire Killer.
Oh.
And I'm fortunate enough to have it complete in box. For MSX stuff, this is fantastic condition. The Genesis was the console I had when I was a kid instead of the Super Nintendo. And I love the Genesis. For the longest time, Genesis games were free. I remember when I started collecting, there was one Genesis game that was more than $100, and it was Musha. And the other, like, there were maybe 5 other games that were over 30. And I was like, there's time to get them. There'll be time.
Yeah, there's always time.
Time passed.
There's not time.
I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier. One of my favorite Nintendo games is the Guardian Legend. It's a mixture of like the Legend of Zelda and a shoot 'em up. It's actually the sequel to this game, Gardic, which only ever came out on the MSX computer. And it came out in 1986. It was done by Compile, the same people that did Blazing Lasers and all the Aleste games. Really hard to find game. It doesn't really have a value. It pops up on eBay occasionally between $60 and people put it $3,000, but I think it's popped up like 2 times in the last 8 years, something like that. So the Wii.
The Wii is gonna blow up.
It's gonna blow up. It's got a lot of shovelware on it, but it's got some good games. One of the ones that people don't mention much, but they're gonna mention soon is Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruins of the Moon or something. This is a hard to find game. It's always been hard to find. It was hard to find when it came out. And it's kind of like an explorer survival horror game. And when you have like survival horror games on a console that nobody bought, I mean, people bought the Wii. Nobody bought this game.
Yeah.
They always explode. It's just like guaranteed. This is a Trinitron. Everybody talks about their Trinitron TVs. This is a Trinitron computer monitor. And this is what I look at when I play video games when I stream. Right now it's hooked up to an NES, but I play my PlayStation 5 on this.
Really?
I played Resident Evil 4 Remake on this, and it looks incredible.
Yeah?
It looks so good. I mean, it squishes the screen, but you wouldn't even know. I love it, and I have to use one of these because I play a lot of shoot 'em ups, and there's too much input delay on modern monitors.
Right.
Here's some Neo Geo games. Look at this one here. This is what they look like. Here's crossed swords. This is like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out if it was medieval.
Is that the original case that they came in?
They came in clamshells like this, yeah.
That is large and inconvenient.
I've
I've never seen a Neo Geo like case. Oh, that's right. I forgot that's how big they were.
Freaking huge, dude.
Yeah.
They have the double chips. It's just like boards stacked on top of boards inside of these things.
That's what you put in like an arcade.
It's what you put inside an arcade machine.
Yeah. So I have this.
I love that
I
thing.
have this at home, just not in this condition. I got the front of it. It kind of has like some mold on it that
Oh,
I
yeah?
can get off. But I think this is so cool.
I bought this from a little kid at a yard sale.
Yeah.
And it had all his stuff in it from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Let's try and get the thing open. But it has like the Game Boy and the Game Boy Light and the pack and the foam and the cleaning kit.
Yeah.
And then like the manual. Like it's very strange how well this kid kept everything together. But this is like one of the best carrying cases of all time. I love the way everything fits in there so well. Standard old Atari 2600, a Master System, a Pong console, 2 Japanese Sega Saturns and an American one, I guess, a Model 1, a Dreamcast, which I know you guys love.
Woo!
The Jaguar, a fantastic N64, the watermelon one, that's the one I actually use.
Yeah.
A Gold Star 3DO, a PlayStation 1. This is the Call of Duty Xbox One. A woman just gave that to me. 2 PlayStation 2s, a Japanese one and a normal one. A United States one.
Yeah.
A stack of PS3s. One my daughter dropped and broke the corner off of it, but it still works. And then 2 backwards compatible Model 1s.
Yeah.
Here's 2 really rare ones. This is a Philips CDI. I've mentioned this before in another video. This was refurbished by the last tech employed that worked on the CDIs for Philips.
Oh.
He recapped it, new laser, everything like that, so it should be like bulletproof. And below that is a console that, I mean, everybody has one. It's a Samsung Nuon. I mean, everybody played that, right?
I threw one away yesterday.
Yeah, I know, right? They pop up everywhere. I have a complete Virtual Boy set. Here it is. I have Waterworld complete in box. Everybody's like, oh man, you have Waterworld, that's crazy. But that's not even the biggest game on the system. The biggest game is this one. This is Jack Bros. I paid $650 for this.
Yeah.
Cash money. This is part of the Shin Megami Tensei series. If you don't know that, Persona, the RPG series, is from the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Okay.
So if you're gonna collect all the Persona games, this is part of that. You gotta find it. Here's the Vectrex. We've been talking about it this whole time. There it is. You press this. Yeah, this is real interesting here. Press this little tab down and then try not to break it
I
off.
was about to say, don't break it.
Oh, it goes up. There you go. The controller's built into it. This is technically a portable system. It's definitely not.
Right.
It weighs like 30 pounds. This is a Famicom that plays Famicom games, and it's also the Famicom disk system built in.
Oh.
And it works. The Famicom works great. The disk system has too many springs and sprockets and belts and crap. They're always going wrong. The spring in mine that reads the Famicom discs doesn't have enough tension on it. So when I play one, I actually have to open this unit up and put my finger on it and like let it casually put pressure on it to get it to read the actual discs. But these are really cool and they look great. So this is just like my MAME cabinet that has all my arcade games you would play here. But it's themed after Ikaruga, which is one of my favorite shoot 'em ups of all time. And I had a wrap put on this. If you've never played Ikaruga before, you have a polarity system where your ship can flip from a light polarity to a dark polarity. And I had the dark polarity put on one side, so you can see the dark polarity ship here, and then the light polarity put on the other side, which I think is really a neat idea for me, but people always love this thing. They want to talk about it like crazy. But you know what no one ever wants to do? Play it.
Play it?
No one ever wants to play arcade games with me, man. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out in my game room. It's been fun doing it. It took a lot longer than it looks on the video, but I appreciate Arkansas Picker so much for coming by.
Where can they find you?
You can find me at RNG Gamer YT, just RNG Gamer YouTube, on all the social media stuff, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and right here on good old YouTube. Come check out the channel. I do a lot of interesting content. I play all my games randomly, but it's game collecting and game reviewing focused.